What's going on, family and friends? It's your big homie TC Caldwell, BKA Stormy Weathers, coming to you live from the PHI Hip Hop Boulevard South. Just jump on 95 from NYC, the birthplace of hip hop, and you will be right here with what we call Inside the Music, the truth about the truth, brought to you by Three Pharaohs Productions, Movem Radio, as well as Movem Radio TV. Let's go, baby. Introducing tonight's episode, identity theft in the music industry. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here on Inside the Music, the truth about the truth. And I am your big homie, TC Caldwell, BKA Stormy Weathers. And I'm here with King Don DaCosta and King K9 the Great. And King KC Cousin, he had to take a reprieve for this particular episode. But, you know, we wish him well and make sure that he's always here with us in spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's episode, we will be talking to Mr. Jimmy Hockaday. And we're going to be discussing identity theft in the music industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get that started right here, right now. Mr. Hockaday, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right, my brother. How are you?
I'm wonderful, sir. Thank you for joining us right here on Inside the Music, where we interview legends and legends in the making, sir. And I understand that you are one of the legends. And normally we talk about different aspects of things in the music business. Anything from, you know, of course, we get to the where you get started,
Okay.
what your influences are. But tonight we're going to be talking about something very, very specific. And I do know that you brought some folks with you to help discuss that topic tonight. We're going to be talking about identity theft in the music
Okay.
industry, because we know that there are several artists who, under certain circumstances, have
Yes.
kind of, just as we say, been done wrong by the music industry, those that were supposed to look out for them, those that were supposed to put money in their pockets. Would you mind giving us a little insight into how we get
Yes.
into a situation like that, sir?
All right. Yes, I will. Hey, everybody, Inside Music Truth. I'm Jimmy Hockaday, of course. I'm a musician, insider with a lot of different groups I played with. And the latest one is Delphonics. I know everybody probably heard about my brother, when Boosie Hart passed away. Okay. And it hurt my heart to know a brother who was very dedicated to the music business. And he suffered from music identity theft. Okay, in his career. And I know he suffered a lot with guys being the Delphonics and they've not. So that's the issue that we're going to cover tonight. But I'm here to not blame anybody for it, because it has a lot of things involved with it that's you can't stop it. Like I said, I probably could be labeled as an identity theft artist also, because we play with a lot of different groups. So we have guys that be in different groups that play or sing with a group. So when they leave, they might think they're the leader of the group. They are the originator of the group, which they're actually not. So you have to have permission from the original artist to go out here and work the circuit. You can't just go out and say, I'm the Delphonics. For an example, Fuji had guys, many guys come and go and join the group, and then they leave. Okay, so when they leave away, say for instance, not calling any names, but one member went off and joined Fuji after his brother went away to form his own group. So one brother, he joins the other brother, and so when he leaves that brother, he thinks that he can go off and still be that group. Okay. So that's the issue that we have going on, that's been going on since I think after disco, when we came back from the disco craze, we were allowed to come back and play R&B music on live stages again. Okay, so a lot of guys that deceased people pass away and don't be around to say, for instance, my buddies in mentor of Junior Walker All Stars. I played with him many places around the world. And I can say that he passed away. He left his legacy to his family. So there's some other entities, some other folks that were involved with his music production that were involved with Junior, like they were family also, but they were the original heirs of his estate. So this guy came along and said, well, I'm Junior Walker All Stars. I'm one of the last remaining members. And I'm humiliated because I think I'm one of the last remaining members. I'm going to speak up there. I'm not stepping on anybody's foot, but I'm one of the last remaining members of Junior Walker All Stars.
Jimmy, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Being that you're one of the original surviving members of Junior Walker's All-Star Band, are there others? And to your knowledge, has that group been registered and trademarked?
And my partner and son of Junior Walker, Derek Walker, we keep a trademark. So the question you asked me is no. So that's the issue we're coming up with, that you have to have legal authority to be able to go and perform these people's songs and music. Okay. So that answer is no, they don't have it.
Okay. Now, so what is the problem in getting it registered and trademarked?
Really, actually, there's no problem in it authenticated. But you have to be a member of the family or a member of the last group remaining members. Then you got right to access the musical career and productions that he produced himself. So you have to have authorization, put it that way. Okay.
So we're not out and cover the songs. We're talking about folks that are actually taking ownership, basically, so to speak, of the name and the works of a group and performing under that pretense.
Well, actually, what's happening is a lot of people are going out and they are using tribute, or they're using experience or whatever, and none of the guys or girls work with the group, so they're going out there under false pretense.
Right.
Since you dropping that, brother, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience of Inside the Music, the Truth About the Truth.
I'm sorry, I'm Dwayne Tyree. I was Gene Chandler's drummer for 24 years. Okay. And I'm also the road manager for Harold Melvin's Blue Notes. So we going through the same thing. But
so that's what I was going to ask, because we had Mr. Tony Brooks on, and so give us the concept, and or if there's a conflict, give us the understanding of what we should be seeing if we have a group that's outperforming as someone's group versus those that were with the original artist.
Well, what's happening if they don't have a trademark certificate? First of all, the promoters shouldn't even hire them, but you know, I can't stop the promoter from hiring them, but I can stop the show with my certificate. But a lot of these groups, it's crazy, man, because the promoters will get these groups for little or nothing. That's why they hire them.
That's right.
And they say we're not going to get the real deal when we can get somebody that sounds similar to them, and then carrying the name. Everybody wanted to do a tribute act. I'm not stealing your name. This is Harold Melvin's tribute act. You steal it.
That's right.
That's identity theft.
Okay, let me ask you a question then, Dwayne. Here's the question, because we did have Tony Brooks on here. He said he started that set of Harold Melvin's Blue Notes because he was, wait a minute, let me finish the question.
Okay, yes, sir.
Because he said he was asked by Harold Melvin's wife to restart the Blue Notes. Now that's what he came on, and if you like, you can go to YouTube and look up the episode, because we have it. He said Harold Melvin's wife called him and asked him to.
I understand that.
Yeah,
Now, this is what the problem is. They didn't never have the name. They try to get the name back. She has a group called the Legendary Blue Notes. If it's all that, why they don't call themselves Harold Melvin's Blue Notes? Because we have the trademark.
right. That's right. That's right.
So they call themselves Legendary. We legendary, but nobody in that group sung with her. Nobody.
Tony
Nobody.
Brooks didn't sing with him.
No. He told people he sung with him. He did not sing with them.
My little brother did.
But you,
Who was
but
your
you know,
little brother?
Gil Saunders.
Yeah, I know Gil. Yeah. Yeah, Gil did.
you know, Dwayne, we got the same situation. Of course, you might know that somebody, I call his name, Ronnie Nelson, for instance. And I'm pretty
Right.
well humiliated because he's going around saying he's the last remaining member of New Orleans All-Stars and don't even know Junior. Don't know Junior. And that's humiliating, the fact that how can you do that? They've got a picture online, the Junior Orleans old album cover, and then renamed everybody on the thing again.
Well, you have to shut. Go ahead.
Huh?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm saying the nerve and audacity to do that, to think that nobody's noticed these tactics. It's a tactic. Like you said, what happened with the Blue Notes. There's a lot of excuses they come up with. Like I came up with actually seeing the other brother that was faking the G Organ All-Star. So I said, look, now I have the trademark. He said, well, I got a trademark here. I said, let's see it. He has an LLC, city operating business license, that's all.
Well, that only works in his state.
Yeah.
But it still don't override a trademark.
It can override it.
No. It has a group.
Well, Tony, I know because Tony came on the show because actually it was Cliff from Soul Generation asked me to bring Tony on.
Right.
And Tony came on and said that he started that group of Blue Notes because he was asked by Harold Melvin's wife.
That's a long story.
That's an alibi, man. That's an alibi.
I'm sure because basically in all of this, there's a lot of story. Just like I told Jimmy, you take who the hell is it? Blue Magic. There's about 4 or 5 Blue Magic groups.
Yeah.
But I know 3 of them personally, and they were part of the original, which is Vernon Sawyer, Wendell, and you know who the other one is, Ted Wizard Mills.
Ted, right. But the other guy just passed. He had a
Ted Mills.
Okay, so what happens when we find ourselves in a situation like that? Because I have a personal story about that, but I just want to see where this goes. So when we find ourselves, or when we see that there are multiple entities, multiple groups capitalizing off this original group's name and work, they're getting LLCs and corporations or what have you. What gives the most legal precedent in order to draw the residuals, in order to draw the money besides just showing up at a show to say, hey, y'all don't pay them X amount of dollars, but you got to pay us X amount of dollars more because we are the original members, or we are owning members of this particular work.
Well, let me stop you right there. Let's stop you right there. Now, in fact, it's this time when we had booked the show, okay? And not calling nobody's name, but they took the guys who would take less money than he went originally, okay? They were with the guys who was more fake bands and paid them less and said, we're going to skip over y'all real guys and we're going to go ahead and take the guys who's the fake, but we're going to pay them less. So that's what they're looking for, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
And we basically just have to eat that.
Yeah. Well, we've been eating it.
Well, myself,
Dwayne knows.
I don't eat that.
Yeah. Well, Dwayne, you said what you find as and I know it for a fact because I've already gone through this. You said when you trademark it and you get those certificates,
Right.
you can keep them from, in actuality, performing,
Yes.
because you
Yes.
can go to that place that's booking them
Okay.
and tell them, listen, they're not us. Here are the papers that show that name belongs to us. And if you allow them to perform under that name, I will sue you and sue them also.
Oh yeah. You
That,
right on
that,
the
that,
spot. But a
that's what
lot
I'm
of
looking for.
times, a
I'm
lot
looking
of,
for.
no, a lot of times what you can do, people don't know, you can bring the sheriff or whatever
Yeah,
with your paperwork to the venue,
that's
and
right.
they will shut it down on site. As long as you have the paper, they're gonna ask the group, well, let me see your papers. If they don't have the papers, I want the deposit, I want the money you paying the group, and plus I want them out of here.
Yeah,
And and again, for the fans and for the spectators and the folks and the upcoming artists and the older artists that might not be performing no more, what documentation is it that you need to ensure that you can walk the sheriff into a place and show them your documentation and stop any group from performing under your name? What documentation is that?
Trademark.
you need a
It's a
government
federal,
patent
that's
office,
government.
government patent office trademark out of Washington,
It's
D.C.
a United States trademark,
Trademark.
and
North
it
Capitol City,
explains.
Washington, D.C.
Good. Yeah, Washington. That's right, huh?
Now, let me ask this question, because you were getting ready to say something about it, Dwayne. When you bring the sheriff and actually shut that particular performance down, and you said the money that was supposedly going to go to this group for performing has to come to you. Let
Right.
me ask you a question. When that money comes to you, does that mean you, as the actual group, have to perform? Or do you
No,
just get that money without having to perform,
that's right.
because it's not the amount of money you were supposed to get, being that you guys were the original?
Right.
No
That's
question.
true. Because if you believe it or not, the money that you get for that show that night, that ain't half of it. That's not even a drop of what they owe you.
That's my
So,
point. That's exactly why I said, do you get the money, and do you automatically don't have to perform because of the fact that you would have gotten more money? If they paid them 5 and you're supposed to get 25,
yeah, I'm
you
gonna
ain't
get
getting your
whatever.
money if you perform.
Yeah. Well, I don't even have to perform. I can just go down there and serve them the papers, and they'll shut it down. They won't even
Okay.
let the show go on. Let them go
Exactly.
on the show.
You know what?
Okay.
And it also depends upon the promoters who promote these shows, how desperate they are, and the tactics they will use to let the show go on. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I was on the show at the Cannery when you guys came in Las Vegas, that Jimmy Walker was performing, supposedly Jimmy Walker All Stars. Like,
Yeah, we talked about that. Tell them exactly what happened. Go ahead.
Okay, so what happened, before that happened, O.J. Simpson was at the college, and they had an issue over there about that memorabilia and the gun and all that over there. So that it was still in an uproar in Las Vegas. So the Jimmy Walker and All Stars the wrong ones came over to Canada, and me and Dirk got wind of it. So we said we're gonna go over there, but little did we know we're gonna go over there, and one of the other Jimmy Walker All Stars said, "Hey man, we gonna come over and shut that show down." Right? If he probably could with the right, like Wayne said, with the trademark.
Here's a trademark right here.
Yeah. Right there. Okay, right on. You got your live. Yeah, I got mine on my phone.
Hold on. Put that back up there, Mr. Dwayne. Just for folks to see it. See what that looks like. Look at the top of that paperwork, ladies and gentlemen.
And you see that gold seal at that
See
bottom?
that seal on? There you go. There you went right to it. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
See that gold seal in that bottom corner?
That's right.
If you don't have that, you're just playing around. You're just practicing.
Yeah, if you don't have the gold seal, it's as good as nothing. It's just plain ordinary paper.
I want that to be clear, because people make the mistake of some people make the mistake of believing that a notarization or a state seal for a patent or something, those are two different things. I keep trying to tell you, there's a difference between state and federal.
It also has to be embossed. It cannot be flat. It must be embossed.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you
Okay,
know,
so you can't get somebody that had one that Xeroxed it on the machine and then Xerox it on some
yeah,
phony papers and say,
that's
well,
right.
here's my paper. If you can't feel that it's embossed, it's as good as nothing.
That's
Talk
right.
to him.
Good
Gentlemen,
as phony money.
All right,
Yeah.
hey,
ladies and
gentlemen,
gentlemen, we got
Jimmy,
a
I got
few
to
more
run.
guests. Got a few more guests on here. No, before you run, we want to get you on
Okay.
before you run. We want to make sure that all the people that took the time to come in here on Inside the Music, the Truth About the Truth, right here on MoveRadio.com. Introduce yourself and talk to the folks that's listening right now before you have to go.
Great. Good to be here with you guys this afternoon. I'm Mike D. Let It Rip Band out in Atlanta, Georgia. And what the things that you've been saying is absolutely true. They bring. I'm with a live band, and we do cover tunes. But you have some groups that's doing these tribute shows, and they're trying to carry a name. But Jimmy, I'm going to run because I got some guys here at the studio right now.
Okay, my brother.
So, but
We
nice
can hear
meeting
the-
everyone.
We can
Be
hear
in
the jam
touch.
session starting.
That's all right,
Yes.
Mike, because I've already talked to you and we're going to bring you back next year. So don't even worry about it.
Oh,
They don't
that's
know,
wonderful.
including Dwayne,
Right on, Mike.
all of them are coming back. They don't realize
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to talk about this
I'll bring,
identity
and I'm gonna
stuff,
bring
but
Claudette
later
King.
on next year, y'all are
That's
coming
right.
back and talk about yourselves. Okay,
That's right.
So that's how
That's
this is
right.
going to work.
All right, I'm
Okay.
out, gentlemen.
All right,
Thank you,
brother.
Mr. Mike.
All right.
Pleasure. Thank
All
you.
right, brother Mike.
Bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Mike D jumping off. Right about now, we're gonna take a little pause for the cause. We're gonna go ahead and pay a little couple of these Movem radio bills that we got piling up. So we're gonna let King K9 do his thing and take care of a couple of bills. And we're gonna be right back with you right here on Inside the Music, the Truth About the Truth, right here on MovemRadio.com.
Let's stop fighting, we are one. Let's stop the killing, we are one. Let's stop the hate speech. Let's make this world a better place. Let's stop fighting, we are one. Let's stop the killing, we are one. Let's stop the hate speech. Let's make this world a better place to stay. One love, keep us together forever. One love, keep us together. I'm still waiting for that day when Muslim you join with Christian and praise God.
City to city, we keep it moving till we get the bag. Coast to coast flights, touchdown, shake off the jet lag. All of the lights we illuminating, but it's not the brag. You send them, we move them, little buddy, you already know the tag. City to city, we keep it moving till we get the bag. You send them, we move them, little buddy, you already know the tag. All of the lights we illuminating, but it's not the brag. You send them, we move them, little buddy, you already know the tag. City to city, we keep it moving till we get the bag. Coast to coast flights, touchdown, shake off the jet lag. All of the lights we illuminating, but it's not the brag. You send them, we move them, little buddy, you already know the tag. City to city, we keep it moving till we get the bag. You send them, we move them, little buddy, you already know the tag. All of the lights we illuminating, but it's not the brag. You send them, we move them, little buddy, you already know the tag. City to city, we keep it moving till we get the bag. Coast to coast flights, touchdown, shake off the jet lag. All of the lights we illuminating, but it's not the brag. You send them, we move them, little buddy, you already know the tag. City to city, we keep it moving till we get the bag. You send them, we move them, little buddy, you already know the tag. All of the lights we illuminating, but it's not the brag.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, haters, and congratulators. You are still tuned in right here on Inside the Music, the Truth About the Truth, where we are discussing identity theft in the music industry. We got a lot of information, finding out how to make sure that you got your patents and your trademarks, because maybe copyright just don't get it. Maybe a LLC to perform just doesn't get it. And maybe if you're a cover band and you're trying to steal the thunder or take the name of the original group of the music that you're doing, is just not getting it. We got a couple more guests coming on with us right now. We're going to start with Miss Joanne Rutledge. How are you, Queen?
Hi.
How
Thank
you
you for
doing?
giving me this opportunity to talk.
Yes, thank you. So what is it that you have to add? You see what we've been talking about thus far. So you are apparently here because you have something very, very entailing to give us on this particular episode.
Yes, I do. And it's about the Marvelettes.
Mm.
I'm not an original Marvelette, but I did sing with Gladys Horton's Marvelettes. And it was a wonderful period in my life with her because I auditioned for her and I had no idea that she was actually going to select me to be one of her singers. So, what questions did you want to ask me?
Well,
Did you?
I got a question for you because you sang with her, and like I said, my nephew Skylar Jett, his aunt was one of the original Marvelettes. But in this, my thing was that I disliked the fact that as a group from Motown, they got no respect, especially being that with all of those groups at Motown, like the Four Tops and the Miracles and Marvin Gaye, and you had the Temptations and you had the Supremes. Back then, they weren't making any money and they didn't have any hits to support Motown. It was the Marvelettes. And a lot of people say they don't even know who the Marvelettes were. Yet, if you name certain songs of the Marvelettes, such
Right.
as Beach
Don't
Boy
mess
5789,
Don't mess with
Bill,
Bill.
don't mess, there you go, don't mess with Bill, and all of that, Please Mr. Postman, they recognize that music, they don't recognize the group. Why is
Right.
it?
Yeah, they do. And you know, there's so many Marvelettes out there. So I know that Gladys Horton was the original. She started when she was in high school with a group of girls, and you know, then they started. They were called the Marvels. Then they you know they became, to me they became famous because it was during the time Motown was, you know, really beginning to show, you know, good things. And so I talked to Gladys a little bit, and she was telling me that, you know, she enjoyed being with Motown, but one of her favorite artists was Stevie Wonder. She talked a lot about him, and you know, this it's another group that they said they were the Marvelettes too, and I think they had a lot of conflict between that group and Gladys Horton's Marvelettes. So, you know, I didn't perform that much with her. It was me and another lady. Her name was Alicia Ingram. She used to sing with a group called Soft Touch. I don't know if you ever heard of them. And she's the one that got me to sing with Gladys Horton's Marvelettes. So it was just Gladys Horton, myself, and Alicia Ingram for a while. Then she also had other girls that sang with her. And, you know, she's passed away now, so that's about all that I can contribute to that.
Okay. Just for the record, how many Marvelette groups were there that you knew of during that time?
Oh, there was one when Gladys Horton's Marvelettes was out. There was another group of Marvelettes, and I think they were in conflict because Gladys Horton's Marvelettes were the first, and she's the one that did Mr. Postman. She didn't actually write that. She didn't write that song, but a lady wrote that song. Was affiliated with the original Marvelettes, but she passed the song down to Gladys Horton, and but she passed away. So even now, there's a lot of people claiming that maybe they're tribute bands to the Marvelettes, but they weren't original.
Can you elaborate on the fact that the show that you and I just did in June, that you were like deemed to not to be a Marvelette? Okay.
Right. Yes.
So I'm thinking that the business has gotten so bad, we almost have problems having to prove who we are now.
Right.
There's so many groups.
Yeah, really, so many even now. Let's claim one night we were performing in Florida.
Yeah.
In Key West, Florida, and we were performing on, it was like a rock out there on the ocean. And when we finished performing, there was another group of Marvelettes that called themselves the Marvelettes, and Gladys actually, she got really upset with that. She took a picture. She took a picture of herself, to prove that she was the originals. So I don't know what happened with that.
And, and
Wow.
that's what I was going to ask. Was there any opportunities to see, and that was one, any of those situations that you were witness to, and how did that make you feel, knowing that here you are performing with an original member of a group, and to see the extent that others were going to perform under that name, and here you are now, you're face to face with someone that's using this name. How did that make you feel in regards to, just seeing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's terrible. And even today, a lot of people are, they call themselves tribute bands, and then they try to actually say that they are the originals, and they're not. So
That's so true.
I think it's terrible, because you know what? I think people work hard. The originals, they work hard to get to where they've become, and then someone comes along and jumps on their bandwagon, and then they try to act like it was just them. It's their group. So
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that too. That most of the club owners and the casinos and stuff, they've lost respect for the true artists, and they don't allow the originals to be a part of their show. So they just hire anyone.
Mhm.
Well, the bottom line is they do that for the simple reason is they can pay those people less money.
That's money.
Okay, if you get $25,000 for being the original group, as somebody that comes along and says we are, they can pay your butt $5,000. Then they'll save $20,000 from not having you there, and that's the purpose of it.
And that's why, like King Dwayne said, we got to make sure that that if you are that original member, if you are that original writer, that you have your paperwork in order. Speaking of paperwork, I know we got Queen Gabrielle, Miss Gabrielle Nicole over there in the cut somewhere. She's still around.
Go game.
Is she there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for joining us here on Inside the Music, the Truth About the Truth. And again, you've been here for the conversation. You've been here for this forum of artists and writers and business persons that are making it a point of bringing attention to those artists and those tactics and those people that are being railroaded, ramshotted, and money taken out of their pockets. What is your insight on this situation?
I think it's a crime, and I think they should be charged with identity theft. One of the main problems that I found with the Delphonics is when you go online and you look to see where the Delphonics are performing. William Poogie Hart's face shows up. But just because his face shows up doesn't mean that the people that are on the show that's being advertised is the actual one that's performing. And so people don't know that they're not going to see him. And not only do they not know that they're going to see him, then he wasn't getting paid. And some of the people that I've dealt with in a situation, they get very, very arrogant, and they feel like they have a right to do this. And they got very upset because I confronted them and made them basically shut down. And that caused a whole other headache. But it wasn't anything that I couldn't deal with, because I knew that I was right. I knew that I had the skills and abilities to do what I do, and accreditation, and I did it. And I'm very happy to have been able to help the Delphonics, as well as Junior Walker's All Stars, shut several groups down. And at one point, we even shut a whole show down because the promoter found out that none of the other artists that were performing had their trademarks. And so it's very important that when you travel, if you can have the original, if not, make sure you have access to the a digital copy, and to give it to the people before you get there.
On your telephone.
Yes. Or keep it in your email so you can just go on a computer. All these venues have a computer. And basically, it's online. If you Google William Poogie Hart trademark, it comes up that he's the owner and all the information and no one else.
Yes.
So let me ask, so I'm being absolutely clear. So you're telling me that you had a promoter who was using the likeness of to sell and promote a show that he didn't perform in.
Correct, but you can't blame the promoter. Well, you should, because the promoter should do the paperwork thoroughly, make sure they're doing everything. But the people that are performing are portraying, they're perpetrators of a fraud. They're telling these promoters that I'm the Delphonics. One person said the Delphonics featuring Reed. And so people are thinking that he was a member of the Delphonics. And again, when you go to book a ticket for a show, whether it's the original Delphonics or the official Delphonics or a fraud, William Poogie Hart's face shows up. So the people that are buying the tickets assume that that's who they're buying tickets for. And that, in effect, took money out of Mr. Hart's pocket, took money out of the estate of Junior Walker, and it's just a crime. However, when I contacted a few of the, the manager, I think, no, the booking agents, they got very irate as well.
Oh, of course.
The money was coming out of their pocket. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm human just like everyone else. But when I know that there is a wrong that needs to be righted, I'm going to do it.
Well, plus the fact, isn't it a fraud?
Yeah, it's a perpetration of a fraud.
Absolutely. And that's why I was very specific in the question and asking the question that I asked, because I'll go ahead and go into, I'm sorry. So do me a favor, Queen Gabrielle, give us your connection to the Delphonics and to Jimmy Walker Jr. Give us where your position and who you are to these entities.
Yes, I met William Poogie Hart. Well, I'm sorry, Poogie. I met Poogie in my office. He came to meet a man named Burl Walk because he wanted to market his golf grip. And he had to wait, so he waited in my office and we started talking, and man, we felt like we knew each other forever. We talked and we talked and we talked, and he kept saying, you remind me of someone, you remind me of someone. And at the time, I was working with Dr. Jesse Epps. Dr. Jesse Epps is one of the three gentlemen responsible for organizing the 1968 Memphis, Tennessee Sanitation Workers Strike. And we had a tour, the America Rebirth Tour, and we were looking for music. And I told him about that, and he said, sure, I'll help you. And as a result, he wrote several songs for the tour, and that's how I got to know him. And through him, I met Jimmy Hockaday, who came to lay down some tracks on one of the songs that was for the America Rebirth Tour, and Jimmy and I just hit it off, and we've been together ever since.
Wonderful.
And through Jimmy, I met everyone else, including Junior Walker. And as I said, when there's a wrong, I don't care. I'm one to take it down, because we cannot allow this to happen. Yeah. They're taking money out of the mouths of future generations.
Yes. What you got to say there, Mr. Jimmy? I see you.
Jimmy, let me say something, Jimmy, before you jump on.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, here's another problem.
What?
You have two different groups, but two different originals.
Okay, right.
Okay. So that's another problem, because both of the guys was in the group, both of them are originals.
Exactly. That's a fine point.
So you have a lot of two brothers.
Two brothers.
Right. It's a lot of groups out like.
Yeah, you know the story.
So speaking legally and lawfully, they each have a legitimate claim.
Exactly. That's where the problem arose.
Well, actually, they don't.
Let's talk about it. Come on.
Because whoever has the trademark,
come on,
and registers it.
Right. Whoever registers the trademark is the man that has it. I mean, it's nothing wrong with his brother using it, but he has to change his name so he won't fool the public.
Well, what was said to me when I had this and dealt with that, like I said, with Bill Godwin and the ink spots, what was said was, if you have more than one original, when they use that name, they have to put their name in front of it.
Yes.
Okay, just like you have the Drifters. Now you have what's called Rick Shepard's Drifters. You have Terry King's Drifters.
Okay.
They must put their name in front of using that name.
Right.
Okay, that's right. Well, you know where the problem arose with the Delphonics was, you know, I was around and know both brothers all my life. Okay, so like Wilbur does, and love him like a brother. Okay, he owns his part, but they went to court on it, and the judge has to pass a decision on who actually have all the rights to be granted. Okay, so it was on Fuji's side, since he was Tom Bell and Fuji actually were the creators and producers. But Wilbur at this one time was basically, he was writing, but he didn't get the hit. Okay, until like Hey Love, you know, remember the song? And he managed to write a couple of songs in the mix of the Delphonics. So he, like said, Dwayne, he does. But the problem was when Wilbur go off and get his Delphonics, and he get his group, then some guys in his group can go off, say, on the Delphonics all over. It springs out. That's the issue.
Yeah.
You know, what you go with the blue note. You get somebody come in and sing, and then he say, well, I'm going out, I sing with the Delphonics. I'm going to do Delphonics too.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, the biggest one that has that problem is Blue Magic. Because you got the twin brothers in there, and you got Ted Mills.
Ted Mills, right.
Vernon Sawyer has his own group, and Wendell has his own group. Who's the other brother? Who's the other Sawyer brother? And then you got Ted Wizard Mills. There were two other dudes. Originally, when Blue Magic started out, there were 5 dudes in that group.
Right. One just passed last year, I think.
Yeah.
You talking about?
Can't call his name. But he also had a group.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they basically stationed themselves out. Now, I know 2 of the brothers actually worked not the brothers, they worked the far south. The other 2 guys that originally were in that group, they worked the south, and you had Wendell, Ted, and Vernon working the East Coast, you know, New York, Jersey, Connecticut. So
it was Richard Pratt.
That's who it was, Richard Pratt.
Yeah.
And you also got Keith. Keith is also in the group. He's original.
Keith, what's his name? Last name Keith.
Keith Baton or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Beaton or something.
Something
but
like
that's
that.
the problem, Rob. It keeps branching out. Okay, it branches out to a point where it gets out of control. Put it that way.
Yeah, especially when, like I said, those guys start their own group. Because, like I said, now you got 5 of them. So if somebody's going to go down and trademark it, this is where the problem is going to exist as to who actually has the right to actually trademark it and use that name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, whoever trademark will get the name.
Yeah, it has to be first because, like I said, you got twins in that group.
But what can happen though? They just branch off and they get their group, but they have to say what group it is. They got to say this is Wendell Sawyer's.
Ted Mills, or it's got to say is Vernon or Wendell Sawyer. Yeah.
So the public can know who they paying for.
Yeah, right. But we got some guys out there blatantly. Okay, then you and I know, Dwayne. You want to call the name, man?
Huh? Now, we're inside the music, but we still want to be careful. We got to make sure we don't liable a situation. So
well, you know, you got the same thing with the Delphonics. We know who else has a set of Delphonics.
We can talk from our personal experience, and people we want to be careful for libelous situations and happens and such like that. We want to keep doing what we're doing, and we want to keep bringing this information forward. But right now, we got to take another quick break. We got do another little promo thing. We got to let you know what Move'emRadio.com or Movem Radio TV is bringing coming to you on all our platforms. So just stand by, take a little break, get your little sip, come on back, get some more information, and I'll finally give you my personal experience with the
Because
identity
Dwayne got more to say.
right here on movemradio.com.
Good, man. It's your boy Chevy with Moving Radios, man.
What's good with you? This your boy K9, the great Moving Radio. Right now, we're
I'm in open mic night. It's your brother G Smooth. Now,
Need you to tune in this episode of Inside the Music. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends. This is us. We still here. We're still here on Inside the Music, the truth about the truth on movemradio.com and Movem Radio TV, where we are talking with an experienced and experienced and panel of artists, writers, litigators to make sure that we know and understand what it means to take care of your business with dealing with identity theft in the music industry. And you heard from several of our guests giving different experiences. So before we get into the last piece of discussion, let me give you mine. Many of my years ago, when I was probably, just graduating high school, going to college, what have you, my father is an original member of the Orlines, South Street, Watusi, Mr. 21, Cameo Parkway Records here in Philadelphia. And my father, who has been a member of this group since about 16 years old. Here I am, a teenager myself, interested in the music business, and I see that my father, was going through some things and going through paperwork and having certain conversations I wasn't privy to, but I could tell that something was amiss. And come to find out that in his latter years, there were 2 national and 1 overseas film that had his group's voices in their movies, under the presumption that all of the members of the group were deceased. So my father tended to his business and did what he had to do. And first, he cut the check. He had to cut the check. But then my father took that next step when he looked and he saw that there were 3 other ladies out there performing as the Orlines. And there was no man in the group, which was strange because the Orlines were 3 women and a male singer. My father took that opportunity to jump on that patent, jump on that trademark documentation. And there was still he and another original member, Marlena, who is going on with the Lord, who were still alive at the time that this was going on. So of course the noise got made, the interviews in the newspapers got done. He filed that paperwork, and ever since then, that's probably more than half of my life ago, way more than half of my life ago, my father is the owner and proprietor of the original Orlines group, with him being the only original member still alive. So he's been able to backfill the group with other ladies over the course of time. And no one can do or say anything, including the record label, because they didn't take the ownership of the name of the original group.
That's right.
They still had the publishing piece, of course, because we know how that goes. Those of us that we had conversations about publishing and things like that. But can't nobody, and I mean nobody, perform using the name The Orlines and singing South Street, Watusi, Mr. 21, Crossfire, Don't Hang Up, anything without getting a phone call and documentation of cease and desist or further litigation from Stephen James Caldwell Sr. my first mentor in this music business, and I tell everybody, he was the first no that I got in the music business because I was a rapper. I wanted to rap and not sing, and he felt that that music wasn't going to be around. It was just a fad. Needless to say, he's my biggest fan now. But just letting you know that, again, that's the only reason why I never signed a major deal, because I walked in with publishing paperwork. I walked in with all the ownership of anything that I wrote. If I worked with a producer that used something that was considered original, because of course samples needed clearances and things like that, and I was even one of the smart artists to make sure anything that we utilized, we got clearances for. We were the first hip hop group that was allowed a clearance for Sade's Sweetest Taboo for a single that my brother and I put out. And you have to go through the steps and the processes. So to hear what we just heard, folks, it's not a joke. It might be a painstaking process. It might be a process, but it's a process that if you want to make sure you're going to stand on good footing, take and go through the process. Is there anybody, did I leave anything out? Did I leave anything off the table in that piece of conversation?
You hit it. You got it.
Sounds good from here. Sounds good from here. Hey, Dwayne.
Yes, sir.
Show him the paper. Show him the paperwork.
Who? The trademark?
Yeah.
Show that back.
Show the paperwork again, sir. Yeah.
Put that back up. So everybody see that that's what we, the music industry, we need to get down to that and respect that. Come on, fellas. Everybody out there that's thinking about doing identity theft in the music business,
There you go.
this is what you need.
That's your protection.
Right there.
This is how you protect yourself. If you are an original member of a group and the only surviving member of a group, and or one of the surviving members in the group, you have to put your heads together at least. And what I will say about Aunt Marlena was that she let my father spearhead and made sure that she was taken care of. Because why? When they were 16, 17, 18 years old and on a chitlin circuit, he took care of the girls. When they got older and the music was changing, but folks still wanted to hear that good doo-wop sound, he took care of the girls. And even into her passing, when she moved to England and another group that he pulled in and started performing, he took care of the girls. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we do what we do. Get your documentation in order.
Right.
Make sure you send your stuff to the U.S. Patent and Trade offices. Get your trademarks. Get that stuff in writing. I don't care if you just wrote one song. You don't know if that one song is going to be your million seller. Get your publishing in order. Get your trademarks and licensing in order so that you can control what happens with your music. We cannot express this anymore. This is a show that when I say we've done some very, very good shows, we've done some very informative shows. This is what a lot of artists, a lot of talented people who bleed, sleep, eat, and drink this thing called music and entertainment. They miss this because they leave it up to the lights. They leave it up to the glam. They leave it up to, I'm in front of 1,000 people, 2,000 people, and they forget the paperwork.
That's right.
Get your paperwork in order. If you come in and you find yourself performing with an original member like Queen Joanne, she was performing with an original member of the Marvelettes. Hey, it looks like she got her stuff in order. I know I'm good because I'm with the original person that made sure that that stuff was in order. We got King Jim Hockerty that is saying, listen, I've been around, I've seen, I've heard, and I've talked to. We got King Dwayne saying, this is what it looks like. If it doesn't look like this, this ain't it.
That's it. That's right.
If it doesn't look like this, this ain't it.
Yeah.
I need my young rappers. I know some of them might not be tuned into this particular episode, but this is especially the episode in a music genre with hip hop and the way that hip hop has branched out and the way that the technology and the streaming and the ownership falls into your hands. You don't need a record label, but you need your paperwork.
Thank you. Amen that. Amen.
You can never again have to walk in audition like you had to audition at Motown. You could never walk in and audition like you had to audition at Atlantic or EMI or Arista or Universal or Warner Brothers. All of these labels that I had the pleasure of having a conversation with until they say, oh, you BMI, yo, you published already. Yeah, but you don't have a record out. Yeah. Why would I go through all this for y'all to turn around and give it to somebody else? Tell me it wasn't good enough. Give it to somebody else. Slap your name on my documentation or my work and go sell 2 million copies. And I'm looking the fool. No, sir.
I like that word you said, looking the fool. Now, it's going to be a personal issue that I have.
Yes,
all
sir.
you young out here, you don't want to fall on the scene that somebody's doing your music and you're the original member and you're not getting no credit for it. That's humiliating. Like Joanne was saying, it humiliates you. I was on stage at Lincoln Theater in Washington D.C., Delphonic, Eddie Kendrick, Dennis Edwards, Delphonic, some Dynamic Superiors, okay? But the All-Stars were booked by another promoter. He knew I was the All-Star, but he still wouldn't book me. You know how humiliated I was? And I'm the last Jimmy Walker's player. So I'm saying out there, you don't want to get humiliated because people nowadays do anything to retaliate.
Yes. And while we were talking about getting back out there, sir, Queen Joanne, I know you still got some more to give us. I know you got some more.
Yeah, because Tony's back there whispering something. So
yeah, let's share it for the world.
We're talking about original songs. Like I have several original songs, and I think I'm doing it wrong because I copyrighted one song, and it cost me $80. And then someone songs, yes, from the copyright. And so they said if you put you could put a compilation of songs, right, and send it in. Yeah. And now I have all these songs. I'm afraid I don't know how to do it properly. So
Library Congress.
Yeah, that's why I send them.
Joanne, in asking you don't know how to do that, here's the thing. You got the phone number to a person wearing glasses and a hat that does, and there's another guy underneath him who knows exactly the information to give you to tell you what to do and how to do it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So my name's on a lot of records. So I can tell you all the pros and cons and the ropes to make that legal and you be protected. It'd be your property.
Yeah, well, I know Jimmy can help.
Queen Joanne, you will not leave here tonight having that problem any longer. That's the one thing that we do here is we want to make sure that we give all levels of artists their just deserved and that knowledge of where and how to follow up so that you can cover and protect yourself. Like I told you, ma'am, I walked and talked to different record labels and folks that loved us after seeing us perform, and they thought we just so young and energetic and had a good show that was it. Oh, especially hip hop in Philly. Oh, them guys, we could just, and here we slapping the press kit and there's our publishing breakdown, and they yeah. So, and the same for yourself. If you had not because you asked not, but since you have asked, you shall receive. Because that's the one thing that we want to do is we want to make sure we take care of and cover everyone that comes into our midst with these scenarios and situations, because you just never know. You might be sitting on a million seller.
Oh, yeah.
You might be sitting on a million seller, and you have to get, and you are deserving of all of your portion of it when it's your time.
Yeah.
So just please make sure you reach out to those kings and get that information, whatever you need. And I'm glad you were here to say it and to be able to hear it. Whatever it is that you need, we'll try our best, because we do more than just talk on this show.
That's right. We'll work on it. to go to work.
That's wonderful.
And she was one of the guys he's looking out for. I look out for her.
Okay.
You know,
I
Thank you
love
so
I
much.
love the fact that King Don brings so many people together, and this is where we get into our portion where we start to wrap it up and close down, and we always get a final thought from all of our guests in what it is that you've learned in this business, what you've been able to forecast and see, what's something that's unexpected, or what would you tell your younger self in this business now that you have the knowledge that you have? And we can start with Queen Gabrielle. She's been so quiet down there. We're gonna start with Queen Gabrielle and then bring it back to the top.
Okay.
Yes. All the information that we spoke about tonight is vitally important, not just for the new artists, but some of the older artists, because they didn't know, they weren't business savvy, they were taken advantage of. So someone has to tell them, and it has to get out nationally and globally. What I'm proud of is that Right Way Music Movement with Jimmy Hockaday and I, and other men and women from the industry in the past, we're getting together and creating a HBCU tour, the Elder Statesmen of Soul Music, to teach the youth what's going on. We're going to these college campuses. We're bringing in the elders to come and tell them what the pitfalls are, give them the basic things that they need to be aware of, and help guide them through so that they don't get ripped off the way others did, and that we can collectively keep our own money in our pockets. And the most important thing is that you control your masters. If you control your masters, then you're getting all your royalties and your payments. Tour money doesn't do anything. Royalties does, and publishing.
Hallelujah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You starting us off good. You starting us off good.
I'll put a link in the chat.
Thank you very much. Queen Joelle, we're gonna keep it with the ladies first. Ladies first.
Right.
Well, I think that we should all, first of all, believe in God, because that's the start of being creative. And if you have a song in mind, and you create your own songs, and then you got to tell the young people that they got to do, to me, a lot of reading and stuff, and understanding when they get ready to do copywriting and all that stuff like that. You just can't just say, "I'll get somebody else to do it" or something. I don't know, but I believe you got to inspire yourself. If you're a musician and you love doing music, which I do, I love singing. I love playing piano and writing songs and singing. That's all I do. I get up in the morning singing, and that's what I love doing. So I think if it's something that you really want to do, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. So that's my story.
My word for the day, get your paperwork in order.
and Queen Joanne, how can the people find and follow you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I have some songs on YouTube. And
Quiet Fire Jazz.
Yeah, and Tony and I, we have a duo group called Quiet Fire Jazz. And that's about it, I think.
All right. Thank you.
We find you, Tony.
Yep.
Oh, just anywhere she is, I'm there. I'm playing guitar every time she sings. I've got the guitar and I'm playing. I'm making all the melodies for the beautiful singer.
You let me know that we were together in our last show, so they did good. All right.
That's right.
Yeah, I played with Jimmy once.
King Dwayne Tyree.
Yes, sir. I it's just so much I got to say, but try to keep it short and simple, because see, I was on all sides of the fence. I played rock for 13 years. I did doo-wop. I played with the Clovers. I played with Gene Chandler. Whoever you name in the doo-wop field, I played behind, because I was with a production company and they hired one band to play behind all the groups. So any doo-wop group that that was out there, I was a part of it. I played
You
behind.
might have played behind my partner,
Who?
Jimmy Merchant from the Teenagers.
Yeah, I played. Yeah, I know Jim. I know all them guys, man, from that doo-wop era.
The schoolboys, the students, the Kodaks.
I know them all. I got pictures with all those guys. But just like I'm a piggyback off of Tony, you got to have that paper right. You got to have the paper right. If you don't, it's gonna cause some problems down the line. But what yes is that these promoters need to get on their job and stop accepting these people, because if the promoters won't accept them, they won't play. But they try to find the short way out. They said, well, this group is $10,000, but I can get this so-called group here for $2,000. So I'm gonna take my risk on that because I want to make that extra cash for myself. But that's wrong. So we gotta go after those promoters.
Right.
Hiring these fake groups.
You're
if
right.
we shut them down, then we got it made.
Yeah.
But there's an easy way to do it, just like you said. If you have your paperwork and walk in and say, if you allow them to perform, we're suing you and we're taking the money.
That's right.
And they're not, and you got no show, they'll stop.
That's right.
Because the one thing that they're into is making money. And when they start to lose it, that's when they stop that garbage.
When you hit that pocket, that's when it all changed.
There you go.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna call that segment "Pocket Change." All right. King Jim, we're gonna close out with you, King Jimmy Hockaday. Let us know about the organization. Again, some advice that you might have, or something that you might have told your younger self in the game, and how the people can follow you and find you.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm a man. They call me the invisible man. Okay. And I want to let everybody know I appreciate this platform to air this out, because I had a friend of mine, Susie the Delphonic. I'm doing this in the name of my brother, all right, who I've watched him suffer through this identity theft by losing money and not even having a job, or other people going out doing jobs for the Delphonic. It's not even him. So I want to let everybody know it can hurt. I mean, this is a hurtful thing. But I had instances where I had like influence over heat waves coming up out of Germany, and they stepped on my foot and took my style, took my music, the songs and all. I'm invisible. They stepped on me and took my stuff, so I suffered. That's why I'm glad to do this. Let the world know, and musicians, the youngsters coming up, that like Tony and Dwayne was saying, get the paperwork done. That's the only chance you got. Even with that, it's hard. Okay, but I'm a man of many beliefs, but I believe, like Junior Walker told me from the beginning, if you don't know, ask somebody. Okay, and if you don't know where you're going, give it to somebody who's going somewhere. That's what I was told. With that, that's a wrap.
All right.
All right.
King Don. What's your words of wisdom, baby?
My words of wisdom is simple, and they kind of piggyback off of what everybody's had to say. And like Jimmy said, ask the question. My statement is this. People have questions, but a lot of times they're afraid to ask because they think their question is stupid. The only stupid question is the question you don't ask.
That's right.
You don't ask, you don't find out a damn thing. Okay, so the bottom line is, if you want to know something, ask something. There's no stupid question. You're asking a question to get information to find out how to navigate through this business. So like I said, only dumb question is the question you don't ask. Exactly. And like my buddy Kenny Polson said when he was on, listen, this is a business. Learn the business so that you learn what to do, or the business will take care of you.
Oh, sure.
And with that, I'm out. It's over to you, brother.
Excuse me, Jimmy forgot to give our Facebook information.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
yes.
It is Right Way Music Movement. right way because we do music the right way, and it's RITEWAY Music Movement. And if you go into our About section, you'll find our website.
That's right, Gab.
I'll tell you what to do. Gabby, send me a text with that information in it, and I will post it all over my pages and over the music inside the music's page.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Don. I want to iterate. We're upstart. We've been at it for a while, displaying the truth. So when I ran into you, heard you speak the truth. There's only one thing in the world that means anything, and that is the truth.
Okay.
Yes,
we
sir.
Got it covered.
Okay,
TC. It's your turn. So take us home.
So in closing, let me get right. Ladies and gentlemen, there are hundreds, countless thousands of talented singers, musicians, rappers, performers. But the folks that turn the wheels to that great machine are small in numbers compared to as many artists. And that's why you only see 1 or 2 people represent a company that has 100, 200 acts under them. It's by design. How you change that design is by getting the knowledge that those couple of people have that don't ever have to get on stage and don't sing a note, don't play an instrument, but they're getting paid more than the folks that are being seen in the lights every day. Get your documentation in order. We talk about a lot of things here on Inside the Music, but we always give you the truth about the truth. We don't sugarcoat it. We don't play around with it. We see how serious this thing is because you see the number of people that have blessed us with their presence, not just any other day, but today. We had a forum today. This is our first Inside the Music forum in 2 seasons. This is our first. And this was the most pertinent information, the most paramount information, the most needed information that you will ever receive on a show like this. We can do glitz and glam. We can do this bright lights and shiny stuff. We can do gold chains, big face watches and all that. We can do all of that. But if you go look into them drawers or them boxes and those crates or those, wherever you store that documentation, and you don't have that embossed seal, or you don't have those registration numbers, or you don't have that incorporation and with EINs, you just playing. You were just playing. So in closing, I would definitely like to thank each and every one of our guests that took the time to grace us here, bringing that knowledge, information, structure, and sustainability to this music business, both as performers, as business persons, as litigants and representatives of parties that got done dirty. And as always, Inside the Music, the truth about the truth is brought to you by 3 Pharaohs Productions, Movem Radio, and Movem TV, 176 Studio 204, Source 3 Entertainment, as well as Stormy Weathers Entertainment. And I am your big homie, Stormy Weathers. And you see me rocking my Cuts by Taj. Make sure you go to Cuts by Taj, TAJ, on Instagram and order your fit and your drip today. And make sure that you tune into YouTube. Drop or jump on the app, the Movem Radio app. And you can also catch us on Movem Radio TV, on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, as well as Fire TV. So no matter what you do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. And as always, holler at your big homie. He is always around. Peace.